It is December 19th and it is a balmy 74 degrees here in Houston, Texas, and it's time to plant onions. This is the Mittleider grow box that I'm going to be planting the onions in. I've done some preparatory work, and let me explain to you what I've done. A couple days ago this bed had about 16 strawberry plants in it. I took them out. We're transplanting those over to my wife's strawberry bed. The reason why we took the strawberries out is because I hadn't protected them properly from the cold weather. Today it's nice 74, but it's been down below freezing here. Having experienced how important it is to keep your plants covered during cold weather, I went ahead and the first thing I did is to cut the plastic. This grow box here is 18 feet long. This plastic is 24 feet long. It fits perfectly over the ends of the grow box. I can tie it down and keep it nice and snug. I'll show you that when we're done planting. What I did is I took the 1x2 strips here off of the sunscreen that I had that was covering this box earlier during the summer, and I simply reused them for this plastic here. I'll go ahead and fold up this sunscreen. I'll use that next summer. That will last me probably decades. Now that the plastic is ready, and I made sure I had all my A-frames, now I'm ready to prepare the soil. These A-frames work so good. I cannot explain to you how convenient they are to use. I have a video, I'll have a link below this video on how to make these A-frames. But basically it's half-inch PVC pipe and 3/4 inch PVC pipe, and so when I want to get them out of the way, they just pull right up and they're out of the way. But when I want to use them, they just slide right back in, and I can use them to protect my garden from either sun, using the sunscreen, or plastic during the winter to keep them warm. Once I had the plastic and the A-frames built, I then just placed the A-frames out of the way, out of the box, and added 1 ounce of Mittleider pre-plant fertilizer and 1/2 ounce of Mittleider weekly feed per linear foot here in the box, and then I took the Mantis tiller and tilled it all in. I can't tell you how much time and effort the Mantis tiller saves me every time I put in a new box. If you don't have a Mantis, it's a great thing to have. I'll have a link down below to get more information on the Mantis. I just love it. It really makes things easy. Once I had everything tilled in, I simply took a short 2x4 and went through and made sure the soil was all flat. I then reinstalled the automatic watering pipe here and added the 2x4 supports, and now I'm ready to plant. It took me about 30 seconds to mark this entire 15-foot box for planting the onions. I used my awesome garden marking tool that I learned how to make out of the Mittleider Gardening Course book, which really expedites planting, whether you're planting in the soil or in a raised box like this. In my raised box I use 75% sawdust and 25% coarse sand, so it holds the moisture but drains well. Perfect medium for plants. And then I add all the nutrients the plants need by using the Mittleider weekly feed. If you're new to the Mittleider gardening method, please take the time to learn about it. In my opinion, it's the best, most productive, least expensive way to have the highest yield, highest nutrition plants. To use this marker, all I do is set it in the garden bed and I just pull it towards me, and then I move it back and make a nice clear line. These onions need to be set about 4 inches apart. So I'll put my first onion here about 2 inches away from the edge, and then I'm going to set my second onion right over here. So I'm actually going to have 2 rows of onions on either side of this bed, so I have a total of 4 rows. Then we want to be 4 inches apart. These are 6 inches apart, and these are 7 inches apart. So it's very easy for me to use these and set up the planting for the onions. First onions here, I go 4 inches, which is about here. Then I go another 4 inches, which is about here. Then 4 inches, which is here. Then 4 inches, which is here. Then 4 inches, which is here. And 4 inches, which is here. And so on. Makes it very quick. I don't have to use a tape measure. It's the best way I know how to plant quickly. So let's go ahead and get the onion set in. This is one of the 2 groups I have of onion sets. I'll have a link below where you can get onion sets. It's a great way to plant onions. You can do it by seed. I've never done that before, but I've had great results using sets. Now here in Texas, I like to plant the 1015Y onion. It's a big juicy onion. It's very sweet. It's a lot like the candy onion, which is also another very popular onion. And I hope to be able to plant that this year too. When you get your onion sets, they'll look a little dried out maybe. Even the roots may be dry. Don't put them in water. Just keep them in a cool, dry place until you're ready to plant them. Whenever I get seedlings or sets, I like to plant them as soon as possible. I got these yesterday, so they're going in the ground today. Okay, my first sets of onions are in. As you can see, I planted them 4 inches apart all the way around, so these kind of make a little square, and they're a couple inches away from the edge. I planted every onion they gave me, whether they were large or small ones, and then as you can see, I also added some fertilizer. This is an all-purpose nitrogen fertilizer. This particular one is 3300. I got this at a local feed store. It's not always easy to get. I'll have a link down below where you can get it no matter where you live. This is what it looks like inside the bucket, and that's my little soup can that I use for measuring. And then this is the kitchen scale that I use to weigh out the amount of fertilizer I need. I need a 1/4 ounce of nitrogen per linear foot in an 18-inch wide grow box or soil bed whenever you transplant. The first bunch of onions took 7 feet, so I measured out 1 1/4 ounces of nitrogen, put it down in the rows of the onions, and now I'll water it in with my watering wand. I really recommend just getting a standard watering wand, nothing that has an adjustable head. This puts out a very good amount of water and a very steady, even, soft application. I really don't like the adjustable ones that are on the end of the garden hose that you can set for fine or mist or stream or whatever, or even the adjustable ones that may be on a tube. This one here has worked really well for me, and I just have an on-off switch right here. If you want big bulb onions, something that's very important to do is not to plant the onion sets too deep. Only plant the onion about 1 inch deep in soil. To me, 1 inch is just barely enough for the onion to stand up. I don't pack the soil around it. You want light, loose, airy soil for onions, as with pretty much all plants. And by planting them shallow, only 1 inch deep and 4 inches apart, will maximize your onion bulb size and yield. Well, the first set of onions took 7 feet to fill in, and the second set of onions took 5.5 feet. So that leaves me about 5 more feet that I can put some more onions in. I haven't ordered my candy onions yet. I'll do that as soon as I'm done making this video, and hopefully get those planted here in the next week or 2. As with the first set, I added some nitrogen fertilizer and watered them in, and I want to keep the soil nice and moist, so I'll come out and make sure each day that it's moist. But because I'm covering these with plastic, that'll really help keep the onion soil nice and moist. I left about 3 feet of extra plastic past the end of the grow box so I can have room to tie it off. You can see you could use probably a couple feet and still be pretty good, maybe a little bit tight. But make sure that you leave some extra so you can bring it over the sides and tie it down. There you have it. All of the 1015Y onions are planted, covered, fertilized, watered. They're ready to grow. Now you may be wondering why I'm planting them in December instead of 4 weeks before the average day of last frost, as indicated on the Mittleider garden planting detail sheet, which I'll have a link below this video, which is a great resource if you want to know when to plant plants in your area regardless of where you live. It's invaluable, actually. Well, the reason why I'm planting a month early is because I'm using this mini greenhouse. And the mini greenhouse or full-size greenhouse will allow you to add an extra month, month and a half on either end of your growing season. So by using this, I can actually add another 3 months of gardening, and actually here in Texas I can garden year-round. So if you really want to increase the yield of your garden, make sure that you have a mini greenhouse or in the garden greenhouse set up in your backyard. I have links to the other videos that I have on setting up the mini greenhouse and the in the garden greenhouse below. This is LDS Prepper reminding you, if ye are prepared, ye shall not fear. And if you like to grow your own onions, learn more about the Mittleider gardening method, or learn how to build your own mini greenhouses, please check out the links below. Bonus, my candy onions came in. I'm very excited. They are in great shape. I'll have another video about them, specifically where I get them, but I get them from Dixondale Farms. I ordered these on Thursday, and they came in on Saturday morning. They are in great shape, very healthy, very fresh, not all dried out, and they planted very quickly. Nice, large bunches of onions. I've got 72 planted right here in this 5-foot area, and I didn't even use one bunch. So Dixondale Farms for candy onions and all your other onion needs.